Hi, my name is Ed Wehan, and I'll be your host for this episode of Our Ventura. I have with me today Kurt Lieber, founder and president of Ocean Defenders Alliance. Kurt, thanks for being with us today.
Honored to be here.
Good. To start things off, maybe you could just give us a little background about Ocean Defenders Alliance.
Well, it's a long history because I started diving here in Southern California in '79, and when I first started diving, I was seeing a lot of abandoned gear. So I started working with various different organizations, all nonprofits. First of all, working with pinnipeds, then pelicans, as well as different environmental leaning organizations. I actually did some work with a kelp restoration project, and we were actually dumping tires into the sea. Don't blame me for it, I was just a part of it. Dumping tires into the sea to see if kelp would attach to it. So I started out doing that kind of work, and as I was seeing more and more of the abandoned gear on my dives, I wanted to do something about it. So
the abandoned gear on the dives, maybe a little bit of where did that come from? I mean, you're dealing with a problem that's been created by someone at some point in time. So how did that come about?
Well, what happens is the fishermen, it's mostly lobster fishermen and crab fisheries that leave their traps along the coast. I'm not saying they don't leave them there, they set them there. And there's always a line that goes to the surface. The trap's on the bottom, the line goes to the surface, and there's a buoy attached to that line. And then some boaters come along or storms come along and separate the line from the trap. So all of a sudden the guys don't have any way to find them. And they don't want to lose them. I'm not pointing fingers here. They don't want to lose $100 or $150 that it costs per trap. So anyway, the traps become abandoned at that point, and they don't kill for a long period of time because the bait goes away. But what happens is the trap itself, and this has been documented, the trap, when the winter storms come in, they can wash over the reefs. And they've been documented to walk 100 feet in a 6-month period. That's not with anybody pushing them, that's with wave action. So it kills all the benthic life. The benthic life are the things that the fish will hide in, they lay their eggs on, as well as they provide habitat for crabs and shrimp and that kind of stuff. So the traps are very important to get out. A lot of people ask me, well, why don't you just leave them there? They're not killing anything. Well, that's not true. They're destroying bottom habitat.
By the moving action, they're destroying the habitat. And then do any other life down there get entrapped, or is it primarily just the damage of what's being done by the equipment down there?
No, we found fish in them. You know, sometimes they're hiding in there. When I first started the organization, or the kind of the genesis for starting the organization, was it was the 4 months past the end of lobster season. It was in July. Lobster season ends in March. And there were 4 lobsters in this trap, and they weren't eating the bait was gone, but they were trapped in there. So I wanted to get them out, and I proceeded to, with some help with some other people that had seen what I was doing, we removed the lobsters. And what happened was, when we got to the surface and we were back on the boat, it was the talk of the entire boat. Everybody was excited to see that somebody was actually doing something about removing those lobsters rather than taking them. Most people, you know, they think lobsters are food. They don't understand lobsters are an essential part of the ecosystem.
So when you, well, first of all, let me ask you, what is your geographical area of influence? Where do you do your primary work?
Well, the boats, I have 2 boats right now. They're both based in San Pedro, but I moved one of the boats up here recently to Oxnard, to Channel Islands Harbor, because I wanted to work in the northern Channel Islands. I got a permit from the National Marine Sanctuary folks to go in and clean up the sanctuaries. So that's Anacapa, Santa Cruz, Santa Rosa, and those islands. So we just started that in September to work in those areas, and we've been removing mostly traps, although we found a couple of nets as well. So that's what I'm doing right now. But in years past, I've also worked all the way out to Catalina Island and all the way down to the border with Mexico. So we've covered pretty much now all of Southern California.
So how does a typical operation work? I mean, you come up here to Channel Islands, you're going to go out to the islands, you need people, you need help, you need divers.
Right.
How does all of that work? Do you go out for the day? Do you go out for multiple days?
Yeah, we typically just go out for the day. I don't have a very big boat. It's a 40-foot boat. You can't sleep many people on a 40-foot boat.
Right, right.
In our campaigns, we usually have anywhere between 6 and 7 divers going out with us, and then we also need crew on board. So we'll look for those volunteers, and by looking, I mean, I have a list of volunteers that have been qualified. I don't just go out to the general public and say, oh, you scuba dive, I've heard you. No, I don't look for those people. I have highly skilled people that have, for the most part, been with me for a long time, sometimes 5-7 years. And they continue to dive with us. And I trust them because they've been here and done that. What we're doing is dangerous, it's difficult, and it's, for the most part, very thankless. So once I find those divers, I latch onto them. And
they stay with you over a period of time?
Most of them.
Pretty loyal workforce, it sounds like to me.
Yeah, it's a great crew.
So you're up here in Ventura, Oxnard, Ventura area. Really for the first time, will this continue on?
Yeah, we came here in September, and I've got a permit that works for 2 years that allows me to go up here for 2 years, but I'm sure they're going to extend it. So I have all confidence that we'll be here for some period of time until it's all cleaned up, which I wonder when that's going to happen.
I think we may see you for quite a while. Yeah. So besides, I know, the actual removal of debris and stuff like that, you really work with the community at some level on outreach and education and stuff like that, maybe?
That's what we do in diving is the hard part. The fun part is when I get out and get to tell people about what's going on in there. And it's amazing to me the amount of people I come across that don't understand. For the most part, most people haven't even heard of ghost gear. They don't know what the term means. So I'm out there constantly giving presentations to schools, dive clubs, different civic groups, yacht clubs, anybody that is interested in the oceans. And I go out and tell them what's going on. I have some really pretty staggering images that we've gained over these years that we've been doing this that tell the problem. One of the, and I won't bore your audience with a lot of details, but one of the impacts that they don't understand is, for instance, gill nets. Gill nets are set out here. They're only allowed outside of state waters, but state waters aren't very far away. That's 3 miles out. And when we heard about an abandoned gill net, this is going back into 2007, our divers went down and took a look at it, and it was a 3,000 feet long, 3,000 foot long net, about a half a mile. And just within the first 100 feet we were able to check out, there were 21 dead sea lions in that thing.
Oh my gosh. Wow.
So it's a huge problem that people don't comprehend.
Does that happen often with the gill nets? That's relatively rare, I would hope?
It is relatively rare. It's rare that I see it. I can't validate whether it happens all the time or not.
Let's hope that it's probably less of a problem now than it might have been 50 years ago or some earlier point in time.
Well, no doubt it is, because state laws say that you can't come close to the coast. So it's not happening in our waters, but who's to say what's going on further out there?
Right, or certainly in other areas. That would certainly be the case.
So
let me ask you, how do you get funded? I mean, obviously there is...
I want to ask you that question. How do I get funded?
I know, and that's why we have you here on this program.
It's really difficult. Again, most people don't understand the depth of the problem. That's kind of fun, but they don't understand the gravity of the issue. In our lifetime, we've lost or eaten 90% of the large fish are gone. 90%. It's a staggering number if anybody will sit down and really comprehend that. So what I try to do is educate people about the value of what ODA is doing, Ocean Defenders. And most people will see the value that we add. So I've had some philanthropists pitch in, like Bob Barker donated a huge amount of money last year. it was by far our largest donation ever. And then we get other, like Annenberg Foundation, Lester Family Foundation, and then I have a bunch of friends, you know, who become friends as soon as they make a donation, listeners. And that is what allows us to keep the boats operating and, you know, pay for the cost of keeping the website going, the videos going, all this, the infrastructure that has to happen with money. It doesn't happen with just volunteers.
Right. Let's talk real quickly now that you've mentioned that about your website, because I've looked at your website. It's excellent. It's got some great information, and it's got stuff that we could probably talk on forever. Why don't you mention the website and some of the aspects of it that I think is important to the community?
Yeah, there's three things. The website, of course, is very informative. It shows people what's in their own backyard. For the most part, people don't dive.
Right.
A few people might have snorkeled, but they don't get out to the islands and see the beauty of what's going on out there. So I take pride in that I'm able to show people what's going on down there. And then the second thing is I have a link to a form on our website that allows people to report debris. All your viewers that are out there going on the seas and they see an abandoned trap, we have online report forms. So you can fill it out. You don't have to say your name or anything like that. Just give me specific directions. GPS obviously would be the best. And then I can go and remove that. And we just did that with 5 traps off of Carpinteria. Somebody said there's traps in the surf zone. Can you do something about it? We went and got 5 of them.
Wow.
And then the last one is the volunteer aspect of it. I need volunteers in a variety of capacities. Divers, people that are comfortable on boats, people that like to do fundraising, people that want to put videos together. There's a variety of ways. So that's also a form online.
So I think an important part of this is, particularly us here in Ventura, how can we get people involved? You need support. You need not only money, I think there's a donation link on the website as well.
Right.
So if people here in Ventura, if our viewers are watching this, and they want to become involved and work with you, would you say the website is probably the best place for them to go?
Without a doubt. And you can call me directly. The phone number's on the website if you want to talk about specifics, and I always enjoy talking to people about that. So yeah, that's the best way.
Yeah. It's amazing. It's a problem or a situation that I think so few of us were ever aware of, and I think the importance is much of what you have to say here and going to your website and learning so much about that.
Yeah.
So our Channel Islands are so important to
it's a spectacular place. I mean, these are the Galapagos of the Americas, and we need to start treating it like that and recognize the value of interspecies relationships. We can't just overfish one species and think it's not going to affect the others. And you know, when we've taken out the otters here, they were deemed nuisances because they were eating abalones, and everybody wanted the abalone for themselves. So in the 90s, they decided no more otters south of Point Conception. And look at the drastic effect that's had on the environment. Just to let your listeners know, without the otters here, the urchin population exploded, and the urchins are eating the holdfast, which are the root system for the kelp, and the kelp aren't growing. It used to be I've read books that the kelp forest along Southern California used to go out 2 miles. Now you're lucky if you see them out 200 feet. I mean, there's hardly anything left of the kelp beds.
I can see that we probably could go on for another hour talking about this subject, and I know you will, and you and I probably will after this, but I want to thank you so much for being here on this program today, and I want to thank our viewers for watching this. I'm Ed Wehan with Our Ventura TV. Thank you so much, and we'll see you next time.